Hey guys, how's it going? Manga Creator 22 here, and today I'm going to be doing a series review for one of my personal favorite series, and a series that actually got me into anime is Yu Hakusho, created by Yoshihiro Togashi. This series follows, pretty simple in the beginning. It follows 14-year-old Yusuke Urameshi. He's your average delinquent kid, and one day while trying to save a little boy from being hit by a car, Yusuke is actually the one that's struck by the car, and in the very first episode, he's surprisingly dead. Hence the fact the title of the episode is called Surprised to be Dead. Now, at first, Yusuke is kind of okay with being dead. He doesn't think that a lot of people will miss him until he actually goes to his um, memorial where people come in and, they say things about him. And you've got, of course, Keiko, who's upset because she's been Yusuke's childhood friend. And then you have Kuwabara, which surprised Yusuke a lot. And then Mr. Takanaka, the school's principal, who said some things to Yusuke to where he was like, you know what, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't have died. And maybe it's not a good thing that I died. Well, Botan, who's also known as the Grim Reaper, she tells him, oh, well, there's a chance that you might be able to come back to life. So she takes him to the spirit world to meet Kawinma. And Kawinma tells Yusuke that there's this ordeal he has to go through in order to get his body back, which obviously he does. And which is, yeah, so anyways, after Yusuke comes back to life, he has his very first mission as Spirit Detective, where he has to get back 3 stolen artifacts from King Yama's vault, which King Yama is Koenma's father, so he's like the ruler of Spirit World. So that way we meet 3 characters, Goki, Hiei, and Kurama, 2 of which actually become allies. The 3 artifacts that Yusuke has to get back are the Orb of Boss, the Forlorn Hope, and the Shadow Sword. Now, this mission also has Yusuke's first encounter with fighting a demon. That demon being Goki, who has the Orb of Boss, which can suck out the souls of people, especially young children. Once Yusuke finds the soul, he's able to, trace to where Goki is, because there's an instance where a child faints and Yusuke, follows the soul because only he can see it. He fights Goki, which at first kind of ends badly, but then he fights him again and he's able to kill him. Yusuke then meets up with Kurama, who tells him of his past, that he's actually his full name is Yoko Kurama, the Spirit Fox. And Kurama tells that while he was a thief, and some bounty hunters from the spirit world actually caught on to him and shot and injured him. Well, Kurama had to heal, so he takes the form of goes into the human world and kind of manifests himself in with the child, a pregnant woman, and becomes one with the child, Surichi. The Forlorn Hope can grant any wish, but at a price, and that price is life. So Kurama basically is setting up to give up his life in order to save his mom, who is dying. Yusuke sees this and tries to stop by offering his life, because he says, it doesn't make any sense for a mom, to be, not die only to mourn the death of her son. So the wish is granted, but the Forlorn Hope decides to not take any life because they thought basically what Yusuke did and what Kurama was doing was very heroic, so decided not to take any life. Next we have Hiei, who has the Shadow Sword. Anybody cut with the Shadow Sword turns into a really low-class form of demon. Hiei takes Keiko hostage and a bunch of other people, and turning Keiko into a demon. Botan tries to stop the progress of Keiko's transformation, and Yusuke battles Hiei, which he ends up beating him thanks to Kurama, who also shows up at the end. And Keiko's able to turn back into human thanks to the antidote that's in the hilt of the Shadow Sword. Next, we have the Genkai Tournament arc. I thought this was a pretty good arc. It's like 5 episodes long, and it deals with Yusuke infiltrating Genkai's, where Genkai lives, this tournament that she's putting on to find her successor. Yusuke's going there because he's trying to find a demon that's posing as a human that's known as Rando, who has stolen 99 previous psychics techniques, and if he gets Genkai's Spirit Wave technique, he'll have mastered 100 psychic techniques, which would make for him a very deadly foe. So Kuwabara is also on this, in this tournament, because he is hoping Genkai can help him with his spirit awareness. So after going through numerous amounts of different tests, like running through a forest, testing your spirit wave by singing karaoke, doing a punching bag, playing rock, paper, scissors, all that fun stuff. Then becomes the fighting, which at first they fight in the dark, and Yusuke fights this guy who literally wears a mask to blind himself even more. And Kuwabara activates his Spirit Sword for the first time, which I think that's pretty freaking cool. It's actually kind of one of my favorite techniques in the beginning, even though Kuwabara is a gigantic oaf. So during the tournament finals, after Yusuke fights the assassin Kazamaru, Kuwabara fights Shorin, who is the only logical explanation to be Rando. I mean, at that point, there's just 4 people left. Obviously, Yusuke and Kuwabara aren't Rando, and neither was Kazamaru, because he hasn't shown himself. Kuwabara has the upper hand in the beginning, but then Rando starts busting out some psychic moves, which ends up shrinking Kuwabara. And Rando basically takes Kuwabara and starts breaking bones in his body. After that, Yusuke gets really pissed off, and that's the thing I really liked about this arc, is that it really showed you how much Yusuke really cares about Kuwabara. So Kuwabara obviously loses that fight, and Yusuke for the final round steps in, and in the beginning just beats the living hell out of Shorin. I think at one point actually snaps his neck. But then Rando actually shows up. And Yusuke's exhausted because he's been fighting non-stop, like 3 battles in a row. So he's pretty exhausted. Rando starts busting out a bunch of new psychic moves, like this silk move where he wraps Yusuke around and swings him around the forest. And he even creates like these fish. I can't remember exactly what they're called, but they're basically demon-eating fish. He has Yusuke tied up to a branch, uses a spirit gun, and blasts him into the water. Well, then Kuwabara transfers his spirit over to where Yusuke is in the swamp, and he's giving him like this motivational speech saying, hey, you can go ahead and die with your tail between your legs. Maybe they'll make me a spirit detective since I'm not such a wimp. Obviously, this enrages Yusuke, and he's able to escape, and him and Rando kind of have like a spirit gun showdown, and Rando tries using that technique again to where he shrunk Kuwabara. However, if the user covers their ears, the technique bounces back on the user, so Rando ends up getting shrunk. But what's funny is people are wondering, well, how did it affect Yusuke? And it turns out that during his fight with Kazemaru, when he slipped into the swamp, he got some swamp algae stuck in his ear. So, obviously he couldn't hear very well. So that completes that arc. Next we have one of my personal favorite arcs. The arc that actually got me into the anime is the Four Saint Beasts arc. This arc takes place episodes 14 through 21. And this one deals with these four beasts are trapped inside this castle and they're basically protected from this barrier, so they can't escape the castle. Yusuke is the one that gets told us to go on the mission, but Kuwabara happens to be there. And so they both jump down into the demon world, the portal of demon world, where they are greeted by some lower class demons that live in like the city. Hiei and Kurama show up just in time to kind of save them. And before them go into the castle, where they're first greeted by this little weird eye demon who tells them, "Hey, this is the front gate. It's also known as the Gate of Betrayal." So he has the switch, and the ceiling literally comes crashing down to where it's basically they're trying to hold it up, but it's crushing their bones, and it's called the Gate of Betrayal because one person can leave easily, and he can leave the rest of the people to die. However, Yusuke tells Hiei, "Hey, you're quicker than any of us. Run over and pull the switch." Hiei at first is like, "Well, how do you know I'm not just going to leave you?" And Kuwabara says that, and then Hiei makes a snark comment to him. So Hiei actually goes through with it though, and at first he's kind of hesitant about pulling the switch because he thinks, hey, this might be a good opportunity, but you know, he starts laughing, and the little eye demon is saying, "Hey, you know, you did a good job. Come with us. My masters will be more than happy to assist you, and you can even be the general of our army." And then the eye demon says that the boulder would have crushed him anyways if he had pulled that lever, which here was. Then he turns around and slices the eye demon and says, you know, "Thanks for the clue." Pulls the lever, and he's able to dodge the boulder that comes down. As they continue on their journey, they have their first encounter with Genbu the Stone Beast. And this is also the first time that we see Kurama fight with his trademark Rose Whip and his, again, trademark technique Rose Whiplash. Kurama does get injured at first, but he's able to prevail, and he kills Genbu. Next we have Kuwabara taking on Byakuya of the White Tiger. During this fight, this is Kuwabara's real first fight against like an actual demon. When he fought against Shorin was a human, technically. Kuwabara at least thought it was a human. So this is his first real fight with a demon, and at first Byakuya creates like these demons from his hairs on his mane, which they feed off his energy. So when Kuwabara tries slashing him with the spirit sword, it just makes him stronger. Using that to his advantage, he's able to trap the beast by getting them all in a single line, and then uses the spirit sword to go cut through all of them, but they're still building up on his energy. So he's running around through this little mini like doorway where everyone else is, but he wraps him up and he connects the spirit swords together so that they can't escape. Well, this enrages Byakko to where he fights. Kuwabara ends up fighting him, but it's like he said earlier that the beasts feed off his energy, so Kuwabara was actually struggling pretty hard. But he kept feeding Byakko energy because eventually it basically became like gas for Byakko and he exploded, and that was thought to be the end of that. That wasn't until he was survived and he was in his room of hell, which is like mostly molten lava. Kuwabara is able to prevail there, obviously, and then we have Hiei taking on Seiryu. Seiryu, the blue dragon, is a master of ice. He has firepower, so obviously it shouldn't be, but before that fight even started, Byakko shows up and he opens up the doors, and Seiryu's kind of pissed off at him, like saying, you're such a weakling, you disgrace all of us by showing up. So he ends up actually killing Byakko. Kuwabara doesn't kill Byakko, Seiryu does. This kind of enrages Hiei, and so he ends up pouring out a ton of spirit energy and ends up killing Seiryu. Last we have Yusuke taking on Suzaku, the leader. They fight for a couple episodes, and Yusuke kind of struggles. And he thought that he was actually going to die at one point because he uses up all of his spirit energy, but uses his life energy to kill Suzaku. Kuwabara then gives Yusuke some of his life energy at the very end so that Yusuke can continue living. We have the Rescue Yukina arc next. This is episodes 22 through 25. And this arc, Yusuke gets his next big case to where he has to rescue the ice Operation Yukina. Kuwabara falls instantly in love with her, so he's all game for it. Well, it turns out that Yukina is also Hiei's younger sister, or her twin sister. So obviously, Hiei's going to be making the appearance. This is where we also get our introduction for the Toguro brothers. The Toguro brothers are probably one of my favorite villains. I actually like the younger Toguro, but Yusuke and Kuwabara have a tough time fighting against them, especially because the younger Toguro can expand his muscle mass anywhere from 10% to 100%. But when he fought Yusuke and Kuwabara, he only used 20% of his strength, while the older Toguro brother can change into any weapon that he wants, whether it be a sword, dagger, as he puts it during the Dark Tournament arc, a semi-automatic machine gun. After they defeat the Toguro brothers, all is well until the younger Toguro, or one of the ogres that works for Kawama, says that they accidentally left this tape rolling, and it turns out the Toguro brothers fake their death, so that they could just kind of earn their master, I guess you can call it, or their business partner, Sakio Samana. The younger Toguro becomes very interested in Yusuke and decides that he wants to actually fight on against them again, but as he puts it, for real. So this is where we get the Dark Tournament arc. This lasts from episode 26 to 66, so it's the longest arc to date, I believe, for that series. There are 5 rounds, and each team has a team of 5, and they fight. It's the best of 5, basically. this is where we also meet a lot of new and sometimes intriguing characters like Chu, the drunk, Jin, the Windmaster, and Toya, the true master of ice. This arc was actually, the Dark Tournament arc is actually regarded as one of the best arcs in all of anime. And I have to agree, it's really good, and you learn more about not only um, Tagore, but you also learn more about Genkai and the relationship that they had. And it gets really depressing kind of towards the end because you find out what Tagore's real goal was. Next, we have the Chapter Black arc. The Chapter Black saga is one of my favorite arcs too because it was something really original, where they start fighting against these psychics who are trying to continue on with Sakuya's original master plan to open up a portal to the demon world. The villain in this arc is Shinobu Sensui, also known as the very first spirit detective. He comes in about 10 years before Yusuke, and during one of his missions that Kwame sends him on, he ends up going to this mansion where he sees the humans acting out all these like different tortures to these demons. These humans that he was sworn to protect are actually enacting acts much crueler than any demons could imagine. So Sensui kind of goes bonkers and kills everyone in that room. And from then on, he steals this video called the Chapter Black tape, which shows mankind. It basically shows mankind at its worst. And he forms this team of psychics, and they try to open up this portal to Demon World. These humans that are gaining like these psychic abilities. During the fight, we actually learn something about Yusuke, he actually ends up sacrificing himself, and so that his friends can continue on. Because Yusuke knew there was no way he was going to be able to beat Sensui. He was basically at an S class. Yusuke dies, and so Kuwabara, Kurama, and he end up fighting Sensui in the Demon World because the portal at one point actually does open. During that fight, the Special Defense Force, or the SDF, show up. They're dispatched thanks to King Henman. They show up and they're like, "Oh, hey, we gotta kill Yusuke." What do you mean? Yusuke's already dead. Well, it turns out Yusuke has dormant demon blood, also known as the atavism of the Mazaku. So Yusuke is going to come back as a demon, which he eventually does thanks to a gigantic version of Pooh, his spirit animal. Yusuke and Kurama head off to Demon World, where the rest of the gang is getting basically destroyed by Sensui, and they find out that Yusuke is a demon. Yusuke and Sensui finish off their battle, and during their fight, Yusuke's demon side actually takes over. His ancestral father takes over and ends up almost killing Sensui. With the aftermath of the battle, Sensui is actually revealed to have an illness that he was going to die at the end of the month. Regardless, he just wanted to make his dream come true of going to Demon World. So, now we're going to jump into the final arc, the Three Kings arc. Now, there are three rulers in the Demon World: Raizen, Makuro, and Yomi. And they each want a representative. Yomi wants Kurama, Makuro wants Hiei, and Raizen wants Yusuke, because Raizen is Yusuke's ancestral father. So they all go to Demon World. This is actually the only arc where Kuwabara is not involved, besides the very first arc. So they all go to Demon World, and Yusuke meets his ancestral father, to where he finds out he's actually dying. because he refuses to eat humans, and he hasn't because he fell in love with this human. So he refuses to eat humans, but she eventually dies, and Yusuke becomes the heir. Well, Yusuke kind of finally figures out, now that Ryan's gone, Mikuro and Yomi are no doubt going to try to move in on the territory. Yusuke has an idea. We're going to host another tournament. This one is going to be, whoever wins the tournament will be ruler of Demon World, but only for a short period of time. I think like 3 years. So they have this huge tournament, which actually was I think it was kind of rushed. But, and then we also find out about Hiei and Kurama. We find out about their past, which is really kind of cool during this arc. Like, we find out that Hiei actually got the Jigan Eye, the sword eye up here. We find that he got that out because he was actually born in the world of ice apparitions, but the ice apparitions are a bunch of, as he calls them, penis people, cold and heartless. They're just a bunch of females who reproduce to immaculate means. And when they find out that a boy is born, the elder of the village banishes him. So he goes, that's how he goes to the demon world, but he has this necklace. And he finds out about his mother and his sister and all that. So he goes to the Jigan Eye implanted so he can track him down. Well, first he doesn't know about his sister. When he goes to visit his mother, he finds out from her friend that shortly after Hiei was banished, she had actually committed suicide because she couldn't bear the loss of her child. And then that's where he finds out about Yukina. And then it also shows how him and Kurama first met, which I thought was pretty cool. And then during Kurama's past, we find out that he, being a master thief himself, him and Yomi were actually partners. Until during a raid one night, when Yomi was actually left blinded and left to die. And it turns out that Kurama had actually led them there, and he did it all on purpose. But Yomi forgives Kurama, and he becomes like an advisor to Yomi. But anyways, back into the tournament, we see some old familiar faces: Chu, Rinku, Toya, Shishiwakamaru, Suzuka, Jin and Toya. They're all back. They're all fighting alongside in the tournament. And everyone kind of has their reason to fight. And when Yusuke ends up going against Yomi, he has his reason for fighting, which is everybody. Kind of cliche and cheesy, but what I really liked about this ending to this arc is that Yusuke actually loses his final fight with Yomi. And the winner is actually some random demon named Enki. I believe that's his name. Anyways, and then a couple years go by, and Kurama's staying in human world, Hiei's in demon world, living with Mikuro, and we can always assume that. And everyone's kind of on the beach, or at first they visit Genkai, and Genkai tells them, hey, I'm not going to live forever, so when I die, this whole area is going to be for you guys, and I'm giving you my mansion, all the acres around it, and yada yada yada. So then they all go down the beach, and it's kind of like a somber moment. And then Keiko's, calling out for Yusuke, to which he shows up, and at the point Keiko runs up to Yusuke and we actually see them have their first like official kiss. The first time when Keiko kissed Yusuke, he was asleep, and that's what brought him back to life. This one was actually a more sincere kiss, and then everyone's all happy, playing in the water, and that's basically how it ends. So there you have it, my review for Yu Hakusho in about a half an hour. Don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments below, and have a great day.